Recording in progress.
Start getting it going and then give everybody a second to hop in. Awesome. Okay, welcome. Cool.
You good on your end?
I'm good. Let's get it going, Seth. And then as more people come in, we got Facebook, YouTube, Instagram Live. So if people watching from other platforms. A couple people said they couldn't make it. They'll be watching from other platforms as well. So
sounds good.
Awesome.
All right. We got a good one for you guys today. Guest speaker, Mr. Luke Crawford, or not Luke Crawford, Luke Watkins. Coming in and he's got a lot of experience and got an amazing network and learned a lot of stuff. So he's going to drop some knowledge on you guys. But for those of you guys that don't know me and watching on the different platforms, my name is Seth Timmerman. I've been investing in real estate since about 2019 or so. I focus on small multifamily and single family projects, and also host a Mountaineer RIA, which is coming up this week here in Morgantown, West Virginia. So if you're local, come on out and check that out. And then I met Ray through that event, and Ray and I have started putting on this event since October of last year, I believe it was. And every week we come to you on Tuesday and for free, give you as much knowledge as we possibly can.
Awesome. Ray Glim, guys, over 100 doors, 10 million in real estate. I've been investing for a long time, house a lot of people. My biggest joy, speaking of joy just entered the room. My biggest joy is being able to spend our Tuesdays here with you guys, educate you in the real estate space, sharing our knowledge with you completely and absolutely free. We love questions. We love to answer your questions. So please put them in a chat. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're watching, put them in a chat. We love to answer your questions. We have a special guest today, as Luke mentioned. So I'll let, or as Seth mentioned, I'll let you introduce him, Seth, when we get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure the lawyers are happy. Just a quick disclaimer here. We're happy to share this out for anybody who would like it. But the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization. The content provided is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. Listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research and consult with appropriate professionals before making any decisions based on the information provided in this podcast. Any reliance you place on such information is strictly at your own risk.
Awesome. All right, so our Gold Digger segment. This is where we like to hear from you guys. If you've had any small wins this week, any goals, anything you've accomplished, real estate related or personal related. Love to hear from you guys. And if we could, we'll keep them pretty short and sweet because we know we have a presentation, a special guest tonight. If you want to drop it in chat, whether Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, drop it in chat. I'll read over it and share with the group as well for you guys.
I'll go real quick, right?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt.
I just wanted to share my my small win. I had some letter go out to most likely to sell and some foreclosures. I got a hit back from somebody that was most likely to sell from Canada. She has land about 6-7 acres worth. She was just sitting on it. Had a conversation with her, kind of nurtured her a little bit. We had 2 phone calls, and then she's getting ready to go through the listing process. But it'll be a little challenging for me because she's in Canada. But I thought that was a pretty big win because I've been trying to get in touch with her for about, I'd say maybe 2 months. So it finally worked. I got her on the phone, and now all is well. So she possibly have a land listing coming up soon.
Congrats, man. I'll be in Canada. Hopefully you can come see me in Canada, Matt. Maybe we could go meet that person together, man. I love to. Anyone else, any small wins they had this week they want to share? Triple H said he got to meet Ray and the family. Triple H, it was a pleasure. Thank you for hosting us. I really appreciate that. Anybody else, small wins? Fame, you want to go ahead?
Hello, everyone. What if learn a lesson is a big win?
What's that?
Learned a lesson.
Oh, you learned the lesson.
Yeah, I purchased land, vacant land in tax sale, and it turned out a lose. I lost a couple of thousand money, and I just purchased a portion of this ownership, so it's impossible to sell, to resell.
Oh,
So
I got you.
I learned a lesson, and I think to have a big win or small win, we need to continue to learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anytime you can add to your education, you definitely get a win for sure. So
Thank you. So I appreciate this roundtable and your time. Thank you.
Yeah, Ashley wrote, "It's not a loss if you learn something." I agree, and we appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that too. You know, you could have kept that in, but you shared that with us, so we definitely appreciate it.
100%.
Any other small wins before we move on? Going once, going twice. So, oh wait, somebody on Instagram said just received a 3-month extension on a room rental this week. Congratulations, that's awesome. That is good news. Extensions right now, people are not really moving. Next segment then, Seth. Breaking news. So first, the first breaking news, I want to wish Seth a happy belated birthday. He ain't know about this. So happy belated birthday, Seth. His birthday was yesterday. So everybody put him in the chat. Give him congratulations. Happy birthday. Got to shout him out. We appreciate all you do, Seth. So I think this is the crash that everybody was expecting this year, that we are not hearing much about. It is the crash in office real estate. It really kind of just like gets swept under a rug. I posted a building that sold a couple years ago for about $93 million and then resold this year for about $3 million in St. Louis. These types of deals are happening all around the country. They're pretty much getting rid of these buildings for what the dirt costs, right? Just for the land and sometimes the demo costs, just to rehab it. We have almost too much office space and not enough housing. So banks seem to be well prepared, but this is kind of the crisis that we're seeing right now and that we're facing.
It goes on to that graph on that second one too, where it talks about delinquency rates with offices and things like that. It just comes down to it. I think COVID and everything that happened there, one of the biggest things that we learned as a society is that we can do this. We don't have to be in the same room to meet, right? We can bring 15 people at this moment, plus Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all the different platforms that we're on all together in one place to share knowledge and meet. I had probably at least 6, if not more, Zoom meetings for my business a week. And it's that kind of just shows you just don't need office space to do business. And that's why you're seeing these delinquency rates and the commercial crashes Ray was talking about.
Yeah, I agree, Seth. I didn't even think about it. Most of my meetings now are all online through Zoom. Even when we meet, we're not meeting in person. I mean, we meet in person maybe once a month. Everything else is through Zoom right now. So, and we neighbors pretty much. We live next to each other. Right. So, just imagine what it is for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, my team, for Real Investors, I think we've got 7 people on our team. I'm the only one in West Virginia. And I meet with them and talk with them daily. So,
it's crazy. Okay.
Cool.
Hey, Antoine, I have a question. Like, I keep hearing about this commercial, fallout. Can anybody speak to what is the impact? Like, what's the impact on the macro picture? Like, what type of impact will this have on the macro picture of the economy?
I can speak on that real quick, and just from what I know, people moving, relocating. There's no need to be in the bigger cities. So you look at places where, like New York, California, which were heavy reliant on people being in office. And then it gets down even to vendors, restaurant spaces. These aren't all, they're not getting the demand that they once had because people are moving, people are relocating. So those high demand New York City, California, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. New Jersey, we're seeing like people leave, not just for landlord housing laws, but just because of office space. And the transition from office to work from home is dramatic. And I don't think it will change. They're trying to force people to go back to the office, but I don't see it changing as much.
I was also thinking, like, you know, how we had that crisis in 2007, right? And like a lot of investors was holding that debt. I'm curious, do investors hold this commercial real estate debt?
Nope. If you invest to make money. You just, at a certain point, most of them just turn over the keys. All right. I just don't want to hold that anymore. So it's sometimes just better just to let it go. I mean, that's what a wise investor would do. All right. With no further ado, Seth, if you want to introduce Mr. Luke Watkins.
Yes. I met Luke a little bit over a year ago through a national mastermind, and have connected with him quite a few times over the past year. Met him in person a couple of times, and it's great. He's got a very interesting story for one, but then he also works with investors all across the country, and he works with people that are just starting out all the way to people that are, you know, generating 7 and 8 figures in their business. And so he gets to see every aspect of the business as well. And I think it's really helped him grow his personal stuff that he's been doing by, you know, watching what other people do. He is the definition of the power of networking. So,
Awesome.
Luke.
Right on, man. No, thank you, Ray and Seth both. I appreciate you guys and the opportunity to share. Like I was saying earlier, I really love sharing and helping people. I don't claim to be a guru or know it all by any means, but I can share things that I've done and my experience. So, yeah, thanks, guys. And you guys have a really cool group, man. There's a ton of people here. It looks like everybody's super active. And the points you were talking about as far as Zoom and meeting in person, like, yeah, we don't really need to do it. And I do. You were saying 6 Zooms a week. I do 6 Zooms a day, man. Like yesterday I had like 10. Today I had 4. So anyway, super excited. I'm just going to go through, share a little bit about me personally, my real estate experience, my business experience, what I'm doing now. And I hope that I can just share enough that there's some nuggets you can take out of it, but really, hopefully some ideas spark and you can put something in action, because really that's what it's all about. So let's go ahead and just flip through. So a little bit about me. That's my family. I'm there before I shaved my head. I've got 6 kids, which is crazy. I joke and say I haven't slept in 16 years because my oldest is 16, and it's a joke, but it's true. Our little 2-year-old daughter there still keeps us up every other night. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love my family. I'm a family man. This year on May 27th, it'll be 20 years I've been married, which is crazy. Kind of always been an entrepreneur once I started my working career. Started with real estate investing. I'm now a member concierge program for Investor Fuel Mastermind, which is Seth mentioned is a nationwide mastermind of real estate investors, from guys doing 10 deals a year to 500 up to thousands. So super cool. Last year I started doing business brokering, which has been super fun and exciting. Love that. I'm not going to talk much about that. I wrote a book, which I don't share with a lot of people. There was a phase in my life where I call it either my first or second midlife crisis, and just felt inspired to share my story. So I wrote a book about me and my life. I just give it away at this point. I love playing guitar, working out, running, and hanging with the fam. So there's a little quick introduction. I don't like talking about me. So as far as my real estate investing experience, I've primarily focused on wholesaling and flipping, just because that's where I got started. I've done hundreds of my own flips, as well as with different companies that I've worked with, thousands of transactions, and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Been involved in some shape or form. Been a part of a few different high-level masterminds nationwide. And I've done some coaching and consulting. I love that, both for real estate, for life coaching, and business coaching. And then, yeah, some of my other business experience, when I got started working, I worked with my old man in the property management business, which I've quickly realized I hate property management. Anyway, it's not for everybody, but yeah. And then I told you I had my midlife crisis. I did a life business coaching consulting. Interesting to learn a lot. You don't fail, you just learn. Wrote a book, did some speaking. Now I do quite a bit of business building. So, yep. Oh yeah, so this is how it all got started. So the reason I started working in property management, I grew up in construction. My dad was a general contractor, a real estate agent, flipped houses. I didn't know what he was doing when I was a kid, but when I grew up, and when I say I grew up, like actually matured, not age-wise, but matured enough to hold a job and be a responsible civilian in this society, I started working with my old man, and that was at Cambria Property Management. So that's kind of where I started. And when I was working with him, he started me out like answering phones in the office or something, right? Again, just think some 18-year-old punk kid. And somebody was like soliciting us. And wait, actually go back. Wait, show the next slide there. Okay, yeah. So before it really all got started, this is what I did for like 20 years of my life. I played in rock bands, mostly punk rock bands. Growing up in Southern California, that was like a big scene for me, and that's all I wanted to do. I don't want to date myself, but back when MTV played music videos, I watched all these big hair bands from the 80s, and that's all I wanted to do. And that was my dream and my passion. And funny enough, like I was essentially living the law of attraction back then. And that's all I thought about and focused about. So that's what I did. Spent a little while traveling, doing that. Nothing major, but it was fun. I still love playing music. But as I said, at some point I settled down, got married, started having my kids. I'm like, okay, I need a real job. Yeah. And so when I was working at the property management company, somebody solicited us. I think it was like a coaching program. They were just randomly calling people, and they're like, well, have you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad? I'm like, I've never heard. What the heck is that all about? So that was kind of my intro to investing in real estate, which, you know, is quite common for a lot of people. They read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then that was it, right? Not only did this kind of spark or ignite the flame for me in real estate investing, but also in self-development, right? So like in this book, if you've read it, you know that he mentions Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And then that took him down a whole different rabbit hole of, you know, lots of different things as far as self-development. So wanted to become a real estate investor, got out of property management. And then on the next slide, it shows the first little course that I bought. This was from a coach named Bill Bronchick. He's still out there. He's from Colorado, and he's an attorney. And I stumbled across this. I learned about wholesaling, and I think Robert Kiyosaki even talked about like the process of wholesaling in that book. I don't know how I learned about wholesaling, but essentially it was the way to make money quick, right? And so a lot of times that's where people start. So I stumbled across this, and on the next slide it shows, I think I invested, $597, which was crazy. And they actually like shipped a book in the mail, and I like flipped through it. I was like, what the hell? Anyway, and then that kind of sparked everything. And then I was doing, you know, what everybody tells you to do, network and do different things. I called the number on the bandit sign just to meet the person on the other end. Ended up being my mentor, business partner. And so the question is, do bandit signs work? Yeah, they totally do, man. I ended up hooking up with this guy. His name's Andy Harlan. He's part of the 7-figure flipping crew, which is one of these big nationwide gurus. I had that opportunity to work with him and do quite a few deals. If you go to the next slide, yeah, so this is just kind of an example of one of our months. Roughly 300K per month. The other month on the next slide, we did like 400K. So it was fun. It was exciting. Management on the flips to working with buyers on dispositions when wholesaling. I did some sales and acquisition. So just learned a ton. If you can imagine being thrown into this mix of, you know, starting out doing 2 deals a month and then growing it, scaling a company to 20, 30 a month, learned quite a bit, right? Go ahead to the next slide. So after doing all that, I moved down to Dallas, and I've been doing investing by myself since. And I like to share just 3 keys of success that I've found in every endeavor I've done. business, life, family, communication, sales, whatever. But it's having clarity, mindset, and action. Go ahead. You can just flip through this quickly. So clarity is power. Look, if you don't have a goal or know where you're going, how are you going to get there, right? So the more clear you are on exactly what it is you want, the more your brain knows how to get there. Remember, I talked about how all I wanted to do was play music, and that's what I did, right? Tony Robbins has that quote, right? Your life is controlled by what you focus on. Focus. Get clear on your goals and focus on those. Don't get shiny object syndrome. So go ahead. Having the right mindset is gigantic. Again, I said I went on this big, huge self-development thing, and I've never really looked back since. I actually had a Facebook page way back in the day called the Gratitude Video Journal, where every single day I would just express my gratitude. And there's something that happens to your body physically as well as spiritually and mentally when all you do is focus on gratitude, right? But Dr. Wayne Dyer, I'm reading one of his books right now. If you don't know who that is, it changed the way you look at things. The things you look at change. But you've got to have gratitude. You've got to believe in yourself. This is my favorite quote of all time from Henry Ford, whether you think you can, you think you can't, you're right. And then gratitude, there's a quote there by Oprah. We can keep going through. And taking action. That's the main thing. And you've got to do it consistently, right? When you go to the gym, if you go to the gym once a year and work out, are you going to get the muscles? No, you got to go consistently over and over and over. You've got to stay persistent in this business, especially if you're getting started, whether it's cold calling, sending direct mail, or whatever. It's the numbers game. You got to get through a lot of no's to get your yes. You know, every no gets you closer to the next yes. Yeah, and energy. You've got to just, be persistent. And again, Tony Robbins, action, the path to success is to take massive determined action. Okay. I'm checking the time. I'm like, dude, we don't got none. All right, I'm gonna bust through this stuff. Keep going. Those are the keys to success, y'all. So what do you need to succeed? It's not more information. Before I took any action in real estate investing, I just sat in read groups and learned and thought I knew it all. I didn't learn anything until I took action. So you don't need more information. Information is not the problem. It's free and there's enough of it out there today, right? So I think the next slide says.
All right.
No, go ahead.
Trying to do two
You
things.
need to take a lot of action, right? Action changes things. And I was just in a conference last week where somebody said, people get so hung up in analysis paralysis. Really, you don't need to know much of anything, but what you do need to do is take a lot of action. So go ahead. So if I had to start over, and I had this conversation, I shared this with Seth, I have always been telling people that, like, if you're getting started, you've got to get some leads. You got to start talking to people. You got to learn a few things here and there, but really just got to start getting in the mix and talking to people. I would network with other investors, agents, wholesalers, and lenders first before I did anything else, before I spent any money on anything. Go to the RIAs, like everybody here tonight, right? So you guys are doing it right so far. Go ahead. Then I would look at some of the affordable ways. Again, it all starts with generating leads, no matter what business you're in, but definitely for real estate, whether it be cold calling, SMS, ringless voicemail, driving for dollars. That's what I would kind of do next. The one thing I didn't put in there is PPL, which is pay per leads. If you guys aren't familiar, I've got a resource of like 20 different ones I can share with anybody who wants it. Essentially, you pay X and you get a certain amount of leads every month. I think it's the best way for people to pick up the phone and start talking to sellers, start practicing the reps of working, finding out if they're motivated, practicing your scripts, just talking to people. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, so I would have just taken action sooner. Like, essentially, like I said, I literally, like, from the time that I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and actually, did anything, whether it be marketing, buy a house, do a wholesale deal, or whatever, it was like 2 years, right? And I don't think that's uncommon. So, like, definitely just take action sooner. A lot of action. Action. Tony Robbins, he's the man. He knows his stuff. Go ahead. So you've got to do this quickly. This is what I was thinking. You got to go fast. You got to implement, and you got to keep it simple, right? Go ahead. Now, the education fast track, right? Nowadays, I said information is free. You don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Really, you're going to learn more by taking action, like Fang did, right? You would not have learned that lesson if you would not have taken the action, right? So just, you've got to get in there and really learn quick story, like the first house that I ever flipped, I bought from a wholesaler. I sold it to a cash buyer. It was so easy. I went in there and like painted and carpeted it. And within 2 weeks, we had a cash offer and I made $18,000. Like literally from like when I started the rehab to like getting paid, it was probably 30 to 40 days. And I turned to my mentor, the guy who also lent me the money. I'm like, dude, you made like $2,000 and like, well, why are you even in this business, right? And he's like, well, you got pretty lucky on your first deal. Cash buyers aren't always the cash buyers. And you know, my second flip, it was the conventional lender. And the lender was calling me, asking for my repairs and a list of this. And you got to show me that you put this much money. I'm like, what is all this crap, right? So I would never have known any of that stuff unless I had taken the action, right? So go ahead. But there's tons of resources, right? Bigger Pockets, YouTube, Wholesaling Inc. I've learned a ton from that podcast. Just set aside time every day to learn and do this quickly. Remember speed. I'm a big advocate for mentors, coaches, masterminds, groups, right? So take advantage of that stuff. Find somebody who's doing what you want and learn from them. Go ahead. Look, pick your strategy and just stick with it. You can't do anything on a short period amount of time and expect to kind of know anything about it, right? But if you try to do everything, you're gonna learn nothing. So a lot of people I see essentially get into this and they're like, I think I'm on the wholesale because wholesale is like the quickest way to cash, right? And they're like, well, actually, you could probably make more money if I flip, right? And again, you haven't taken any action; you're just debating in your head, which is fine. We all do this. But then they're like, oh, no, I know multifamily is where it's at. I heard if you can, get way better returns, so I'm going to do that. What happens is people go in this full circle and they're still standing on the same spot and they didn't take any action, right? So I think you just need to pick one and stick with it and try it, right? And the same principle applies when you're trying like a marketing channel, for example. Like when we got started in direct mail years ago, the group we were in said, if you're going to do direct mail, you got to commit to a year, right? Like you're not going to see the results unless otherwise. Now, we could debate whether that should be 6 months, a quarter, or whatnot, but you can't do anything once and then expect to do it right. So avoid shiny objects. But one of my coaches, and I've had coaches on and off my whole life. Every time I have a coach in my life, I'm succeeding at most everything. And the times that I don't have a coach, coincidentally I'm not, which is an interesting side fact. But one of my coaches, mentors told me, just decide and go do it. Just decide and do. That's it. Like, and if you think about most very successful, wealthy people, they're really quick at making decisions. Right? They're just on, boom. They got to live with it. If they fail or learn, they learn. If it works, great. Right? So decide and do it quickly. Sorry, thanks, Seth, for sending me a message. I thought I had to be done in a minute. I'm like, anyway, I'll be done in 2 seconds now. But go ahead.
Talk slower, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so you do have to have some financial stuff in place, right? You've got to know what your budget is. You've also got to budget your time, right? So are you going to be flipping or are you going to be wholesaling? If you're wholesaling, do you have $500 for an earnest money, $1,000 for an earnest money? If you're flipping, do you have your hard money lender lined up, your private money lender, your repair money, right? So knowing kind of where you're at and what you need, I recommend, and this is what a lot of people don't talk about because it's not sexy, but like you should have your reserves for both like your personal and your business. When I got started, some of my mentors really preached that to me, so I'm glad they did. But I see a lot of guys in this industry that make a lot of money and don't have it. So definitely you should have savings. I think at least 6 months of both business and personal expenses. Consider the investment of your time and money. And then this way you're prepared to act fast, right? Deals come. And usually the guys that can move quickly are the ones that get the deal. There was a post in our private group earlier today that said, hey, like, how do you guys determine, like, how you can buy a house sight unseen, right? And there was a big debate about, like, mostly it's price, but you have to know the area and you've got to know, you just have to know, right? So don't spend so much time learning everything, but you do have to be somewhat prepared, but be able to act fast if you have your finances ready. Ray, I still get shiny object syndrome so much. Oh my goodness. And then networking, right? I said this is probably the first thing I would do. You guys are all doing it because you're here. This is the form of like networking nowadays, right? And I love it because I can be at home. I can be anywhere and we can meet up. I do love meeting people in person. I actually feed off of like a room full of, you know, energized entrepreneurs or investors, but network for, listen, the first RIA group that I ever went to, I met my mentor, my first hard money lender, my second hard money lender. That's where I bought my first deal. And you go to groups like this, you're going to start doing business with people forever. If you make, you know, if you're an ethical person and, you know, do what you say. Yeah, so that, I mean, I still love going and doing that. I don't do as much of the real estate ones because I'm just part of the mastermind. And that's kind of our networking, but for business brokering, we've got little meetups with different attorneys and different things. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, nowadays you can do Facebook groups. Man, when I moved down to Dallas, I was just shocked. There's like 50,000 people in some of these Dallas-Fort Worth real estate investment groups. And literally, like, if you want to flip houses, you can just go pick up a deal in a Facebook group. You don't have to go direct to the seller. It's so crazy these days. And you can get referrals and different things, and you know who not to use, but it's so easy these days. Go ahead. Yeah, and the main thing is leads. Just focus on, man, it's tough because it's like sometimes we just feel like we need to know everything before we can make that decision. And I'm the same with a lot of different things, right? But just in my real estate experience, it's like, man, like really the only important thing is to like generate leads, start looking for deals, whether you're talking to wholesalers looking for deals, whether you're talking to agents looking for deals, whether you're not knocking on doors. And I know a tremendous successful company in Kansas City that's their main strategy. They just go knock doors on pre-foreclosures and they get deals, listings, short sales, you name it, right? But yeah, go to Facebook groups, just start texting. I love getting on every single wholesaler's email list. And I recommend that if you're just getting started to just get on there and look at every deal that comes through and start practicing analyzing it, right? However you analyze it, whatever tools you have, just start practicing and looking at deals, getting practice, right? It's so easy too to just get PropStream or batch leads or Privy's a newer one. But man, you can just literally get a list of 10,000 leads every month for $99 a month, right? Which isn't too bad. Driving for Dollars is even more affordable. I think the Deal Machine app is less than that. And Driving for Dollars is great, right? Agents, attorneys, wholesalers, investors, and marketing. Obviously, we can do marketing. Nowadays, marketing is just Facebook. Let's make a post. Hey, I'm looking for a deal. What do you got? Like literally, one of the guys in our group that does hundreds of deals a year posts that once a week, if not 3 times a week, and gets deals. Right? It's crazy. One of the ladies in our group, that's all she does to generate deals. And she only wholesales all these deals. So she has wholesalers bring her deals. And because she's got an amazing buyers list, she doesn't spend a dime on marketing, just her time, right? So, but this is really important. Just start looking for deals. However whatever your strategy is, obviously you've got to have a clear focus, like we talked about. Just go after it, hunt for deals. Yeah, and these are the different options, right? I already kind of talked about this. If you're going to be a wholesaler, what do you need? If you're going to fix and flip, what do you need? Right? Different things like that. I've got a great resource for like business startup capital, if anybody needs that. I'll be honest, I started with like 2 business credit cards. Somebody in my media told me that like you could go to US Bank with an LLC and an EIN and get 10 grand. I'm like, I'm in. And I got 2, and that's how we did it. And, you know, I've never looked back since. And I know a couple of other people have started that way, and it's not right for everybody. So I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. And thank you for the disclaimer before we started. Creative financing. Man, you can get into some of these deals with 0 down or little down. And I mean, there was a guy in our group last week that spoke about how he would only do creative deals. He wanted to build his rental portfolio. He's built it over hundreds, and they were all creative deals. But he was clear and focused on his strategy, meaning he said, all I went after were 100% owned, so 100% equity people, and they were absentee owners. And he would just target those people, get them to talk, and he'd be like, what do you hate about landlording? Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me pay you $500 a month. You still get the cash flow. You get the depreciation benefits. You know, you don't have capital gains if you're going to sell up the cash. And he's got hundreds of these, and you know, the most you would put down was like 5,000. So I've got one of my own as well recently. But anyway, go ahead. So this is the key, guys. I had like 5 slides about this earlier. Just take immediate action, start small. I love how you guys started with the just little wins or whatever the wins you have. Every day, every week, you've got to take these wins. I actually, I have I've got a lot of different journals, but I have one called Goals, Gains, and Gratitude. And I got this concept from a book called The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. They've written 3 books together: The Who Not How, That, and 10X is Easier than 2X. Amazing series of books. Dan Sullivan's amazing. But The Gap and the Gain said every day just write down 3 things that you did good today. So that's like your gains, right? I got this much better because I did that, or I learned this, or I accomplished this, right? And then I always write down my gratitude and my goals. I like to always review my goals, but start small, celebrate your wins. Get the experience, and when you get the experience, that's how you gain confidence. I love sharing the story of the first time I met with a seller in their house. I literally was shaking my whole body, and I couldn't speak because my voice was trembling, and I still got the deal, right? Now, do you think every time since then I've had that same feeling? No, right? And same thing when I wanted to share my story and be a public speaker. I still to this day get nervous to sell, right? But you have to take that and make it into energy and use it for you. But you gain confidence by experience, right? How do you get experience? Start small. I love how you guys started with that. There's never the perfect time to start except for now, right? Time is now. Oh, nice. Casey, you just started having the game. You're really good. Yeah, so look, you've got to learn a couple things. I'm a big advocate for educating. Just don't have analysis paralysis, right? So many people do that for whatever reason. I mean, we could go into some deep psychological reasons for it, and it is there, but just quickly learn enough to make it dangerous and then just go take massive action. Decide on your exit strategy. Stick with wholesaling if it's going to be wholesaling for at least, man, you know, I told the story of the direct mail. I think you should try things for a year, if not a year, 6 months. Minimum, bare minimum for anything is 3 months, right? It's tough to accomplish a lot of big things in 3 months, but 6 months, more, a year, even more, right? Get your finances lined up, start networking, go hunting. It's hunting season. It's always hunting season. And take action. That's it.
Awesome.
That's all I got. That's all I got, y'all. I hope that wasn't too boring or not enough.
No, awesome, man. I definitely appreciate it. I'll share what I took mainly is something I always tell people in the community to take action, right? And you got to I call them getting your reps in, and it correlates to, you know, any sport. You have to get started. And even when it comes to working out, you don't go to the gym and start benching 200, 300. You start with little reps. You start with little wins. And that's even goes to, you know, our scenario. We start with little wins because those little wins every week are very important. And I correlate to a lot of you guys, even being in this chat here and in this group. A lot of your little wins we're hearing every week, and they're becoming bigger wins, right? I'll point to like Ashley, and her wins have become like huge now. You know, Matt shares often that wins are huge. Fang even shared a loss, but that's a win too. You know, so we're happy to hear that, and you guys are actually taking action. Win or lose, you're taking action. I think that was a critical point, and we appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I'm working on a thing. It's based around wholesaling, but it's how to get started in real estate and stuff like that. So it kind of aligns with what you were talking about. And you said, you know, there are things that you have to know up front. And I break it down into 5 steps on the wholesale process, with the first one being study. But when I'm in that step and I'm talking about that step, I point out, like, this is not a 4-year course, right? You're not going to sit here in a 4-year degree to study and learn everything about real estate, right? Know these key points and then move on, because education is continuous, right? Like, I mean, the networking that you and I do, the networking we do here, the networking we do on Wednesdays with our group, and what I do with Mountaineer RIA, all of that stuff is my education for this business. I learn stuff about real estate every single day. So studying and getting to know a baseline is important, but it is not a degree that you're going to get before you take action.
Love that. Thing asked, what is it? Ringless voicemail. I think that's what RVM stands for, ringless voicemail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she also wanted to know, do you wholesale locally, West Virginia, out of state? How do you choose your market?
Are you all asking me this question?
Yeah, that's to you. Yep.
Yeah. So right now I only do locally. I've done nationwide. That company I shared that I was with, we were in 3 different markets. Since then, I've gone into like 4 or 5 other ones. It's a tough gig to go nationwide, not impossible. I would suggest starting locally. If you've got deals there, depends on your market. I don't know your guys' market, but it sounds like there's deals and enough happening that I would start there. Yeah, you can go nationally. That's a whole another 2-hour course for sure. But yeah.
So we're spread out across the country too, so it all depends. Flora is actually here in West Virginia in Morgantown.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you're just getting started, definitely do the backyard. You got to know where the deals are happening, and generally, it's first-time home buyers is where the biggest pool of buyers is, and houses being traded. When you start getting up into the median and above, right? There's not as many buyers, and right now people aren't moving.
Yeah.
We were just having this conversation today because I have a 3.25 rate. Why in the world would I go get a 7 something and more than double my interest rate? That's just crazy, right? So,
yeah. Another thing I love that you mentioned is the value of your mentor from the beginning. How much value they brought you. That's very critical, I think. And people, sometimes they try to take a shortcut, and shortcuts can hurt you. And having somebody with experience is like the biggest shortcut, I think.
Yeah.
I have mentees, but I have my mentors too. And as you go higher up, you start to see more people with more mentors. And they even mentor each other. So it is great to have that community, and I think that's a positive.
Yeah, I forgot to mention when I paid that $597, I did get upsold to the 10K coaching program, but that was the best 10K that I ever spent because literally I made $6,000 on my first wholesale deal and then $18,000 on my first flip, and that was all within like the first 3 months because I did exactly what he told me to do, mm-hmm. and I got the result he told me I would. So,
yeah, and and the value of that is, we spend that money, and some people like, man, I got to spend this money. And I always say there's one tip or one trick that someone can teach you that can make you thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions over time from that one thing of value they can, share with you, or can save you thousands, tens of thousands from critical mistakes that you may have made. So I think that value of mentorship is pretty important. While we're here, guys, if you are part of the inner circle, we hope to see you guys tomorrow at noon. If you have not registered, you can sign up or send me a message. I can get you guys signed up for the inner circle. Those talks that we have every Wednesday are amazing. We dive deep into real estate questions that you guys may have, answering questions and talking about today's market as well.
Yeah, it's more interactive with the folks that are there, right? Like,
yeah.
What are they facing and stuff like that, and working on advice. And we've analyzed some deals, right? We pulled up some deals and looked at neighborhoods on Google Maps and drove through and said, if this is going to be good, what are the things to watch out for? So it's a lot of high level stuff, but it's also real in depth on what's going on in your business. So it's an awesome time.
Yeah, and this group is amazing too, guys. You have buyers, you have sellers, you have. Joy just mentioned she got another private money lending contract. So those are amazing. This is an amazing group, great, amazing network. This is just this side, the Zoom side. We have people on Instagram. We've been getting comments from Facebook and so on YouTube as well. So we appreciate everybody joining in. Any other questions, I guess, for Luke while we have him here? And if not, one other thing you comment on is that shiny object syndrome. There are so many of us that get that, and I'm a big proponent of it. Every failure I've had, guys, in my life has come from that shiny object syndrome. I just wanted this Airbnb, and I make great money on Airbnb, but I hate it, right? When I do things that I have no business doing, those are the things that cost me the most, right? Because I haven't taken the time to master it. I haven't taken the time to, own my craft. And then what I'll do is I'll fail at it, and then I'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have did that in the first place, right? So if you are going to get that shiny object syndrome, keep it shiny, right? Stick with it for 6 months. Stick with it for a year, like you mentioned. And then make it part of your craft. But don't just do it real quick and think, okay, I'm going to make a bunch of money or this is easy. We see that so many times, and you might watch Bigger Pockets or another show, and you do it, and then it's like, oh, my God, what am I doing? And I think a lot of us get that. So, stick to your craft, master whatever you're going to do, master it. I think that's a big point.
Yeah, you threw out in the presentation, you threw out clarity and focus. And like, I know through the group that he's doing and stuff like that, they do an operating system, and it's loosely based around entrepreneurial operating system that I've mentioned in this group before too. And that is one of the core 6 values that kind of dive into that system. It's vision. If you don't have a clear and defined vision for what you're trying to do, then you're going to have that shiny object syndrome, right? The only other way you're going to get it is if you're like Ray, and just bored because you're making, so much money.
Hey, I'm broke. Hey, I'm broke over here.
Well, that's because the shiny objects just got bored. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you get really good at something and it starts and you want to move on, that's great, right? Especially when you're starting out, having that focus in the beginning for that vision, whatever you're going to choose, there isn't a wrong answer. I think like you can choose anything. It's just what is your support staff around you and how can you make that implement it, right?
Yeah, I agree. If we can, we got some questions. I guess we'll just key in some questions. If you guys are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, please ask the question in the chat. We can answer it. We got a question coming up, and this might go to you too, Luke. You might have some value from this. I'll answer it from Eru Holland Living. How are we using artificial intelligence to leverage your real estate business? And I'll tell you guys from my point of view, I'm using it for sometimes getting creative with leases. Other documents that I don't necessarily want to send. So if I need to type up like a laundry list or things for, tenants, or if I have to, do a dog addendum, things that I would usually kind of hand off, I'm doing it in-house, having artificial intelligence do it, or even creating lists for, my maintenance team. I'm relying on a lot of AI because I use it as a point to check it, right? And build on to my knowledge that I already have. It is not my knowledge base. I just use it as a tool to build onto what I have. But what about you guys? How are you guys using AI?
Yeah, I'm using it for everything. Like literally, you mentioned some of the things I'm using it for. Contracts, contract review. I use it for like emails to like, I want to write something in a tactful way, even though I'm pissed at somebody, right? All of our content, we do a ton of email marketing, text message marketing, scripts. Man, like my partner does all the back end tech stuff, but literally everything is the answer. I don't know what else to say. It's everything. Now, it doesn't take away anything or do anything for you. Like you said that it's a tool. You have to know how to use it, but it saves a lot of time off of a lot of tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good too, like when you're generating lists and stuff like that, to input that list in there and say, act as a landlord that's building a list out for his maintenance team and break down this list and give me 5 points that I may have missed, right? Things like that. And it'll actually point out things that I've never even really thought of. Content generation, generating ideas and stuff like that is huge. I noticed in one of your slides, it was because I know you're not that bad of a speller on your clip art, right? So that some of those photos and slides were AI generated. A lot of the stuff that's on the slides that we do weekly is AI generated photos and stuff like that as well. So we use AI. I use AI every single day.
Yeah. So great question. Anybody else on the chat? I know you got some other real estate investors, people looking to get started. How are you guys using AI and your productivity? I see Gus on. I know Gus is doing some stuff. I don't know if Gus is using AI at all. But anybody else using AI, if you guys want to mute, we want to hear from you guys.
I'm right there with the gentleman that was talking. I'm using it for everything. This is like the kid that, wasn't the best at writing. This is like the cheat code. Now I'm on the same platform when I'm emailing lawyers and all that stuff. Man, it's awesome. And even when you put it out there and you're trying to promote your product, whatever it may be, it puts it the best way possible. So it's been phenomenal for my business.
Yeah. Anybody else want to comment on how they're using AI? I know. I agree with you, Gus. I'm using it to the max though, as much as I can, as often as I can. And Seth brought up a way to use it as like a contradictory to what I'm thinking. You know, like, hey, these are my ideas, but what can be better, or what did I miss? You know, and you know,
that's a strong thing
Yeah.
to use it for. I tell you what, it's changed how I do it.
And AI should be viewed as what it is, a language model. It is something you can talk to, right? It can generate stuff for you, but the real power of it is for you to talk to it and get as much value from it. Just like we're in this community here and we get value from each other, using AI as that language model can help you get value from, you know, those other sources or your resources and figuring out how to make things better. And that's why I get the most value out of it. We got a question. How do I put a property under contract, find a potential buyer? Luke, I don't know if you want to just glance over that real quick. I don't want to give too much detail. You know, we go into that a lot on our Wednesday calls, specifically like the details. But if you want to just, you know, help somebody out for, you know, if they were just getting started.
So if you put a property under contract, how do you find a buyer is the question?
How do you put a property under contract and find a potential buyer? They want the whole work. Yeah.
Yeah. So to put a property under contract, you got to find a motivated seller most of the time, or an agent or a deal. You got to find a deal. I use the general rule of thumb of like, as a starting point, 50% off, 50 cents on the dollar. Obviously, you can work your way up from there. So you're looking for a deal. You're looking for somebody motivated to sell, and then finding buyers. I mean, that's through networking. That's through Facebook groups. Asking people on this, you know, I thought I've seen already somebody here say they're a buyer.
We did,
So
yeah. So
I mean, yeah, just start an Excel spreadsheet, a Google sheet with the name, the phone number, and the email, and just start adding to it.
Yeah. I think you're in the right place if you're looking to find buyers and find, you know, deals. This is kind of the right network. Being around the network, which you mentioned earlier in your, you know, this is all about network. All of it is about network. So making sure that you're around your network. We all keep each other sharp to what's going on, because we're all through the US too. We keep each other sharp to what's going on in each area, and we build our network through that. So just make sure you have a strong network. You'll find deals. Seth and I just went over. I called Seth the other day about a deal. Seth called me about a deal, you know. So just keeping that network, making sure you network. You're here often. Every week, every Tuesday, we host this for free. You know, there's a lot of money been made in this group call, right? A lot of money's been made. And so, you know, just making sure that you're here is the most valid thing you can do. We should keep a money tracker, Seth. That's what we need to do. I wonder if we've hit the $1 million mark made in this group. I wouldn't be surprised.
Might be. It's close, I'm sure.
Yeah. Y'all want to hit one more question? We got one more question.
Yeah, we can.
If you don't care. How do you find off-market deals, sheriff sales, foreclosures? I know, Luke, you mentioned, I think the biggest one right now, and the biggest is, well, two. I think you got inbound marketing, right? That's the easiest way. And then you got driving for dollars. If you want like home run, like stellar, like, man, I can't believe this. Those type of deals, get them from baseline. Those are going to be the biggest two. What about you guys agree with that? We can't see your phone, Seth.
Yeah, let me turn my background off so you guys can see. But it's funny that you say that. Choose background none. See my deer heads in the background, but it'll be okay.
We can't see it anyway.
Yeah, but that text message was 7:20 p.m. So it was 5 minutes ago, and it's a paper lead. One of the sources that Luke was talking about, where we just pay every time that somebody fills out a form that they do their marketing for, and it comes directly to my phone, goes right to my acquisitions manager. He's already called the person, and talked to them about buying their house. So, I mean, that's probably the easiest way. Luke is right. It's just whether you have the capital to do it successfully or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my answer to that question is it depends on how much time you have and how much money you have and which one you have more of. It all works. I've successfully done PPC, PPL, direct mail, knocking on doors, door knocking, driving for dollars. Like literally it all works. Pick the one that works best for you, right? Based on your time and your budget.
Yeah.
I actually add one thing to that in the stuff that I'm building, but the budget is the perfect word for it. But I do time, energy, and money, because you may have some time, but you're lazy, right? And you're probably not going to be a successful entrepreneur by doing that. But maybe you don't want to go out to those houses and deal with those pre-foreclosures and stuff like that, right? You want to deal with those tired landlords that just want cash. You got cash sitting in the bank. You know, you just want them to come to you. And there's a source for that.
Yeah. Joy said we're gonna do 1 million this year. I believe that, Joy. Don't worry. I'm gonna get it. I'm trying to get 1 million by myself, just in this room, Joy. That we're gonna get at least 1 million. Let's stop going on vacation.
Every day's a vacation.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, I can't. That's great. That's on point, Seth. Every day is a vacation. In the group chat, somebody said I've used AI to get information on the property market, such as how the Fed rates affect mortgage interest rates. Pretty good, just as informative. So this has been great, guys. Great resources to everybody listening. If I miss your question, I'm sorry. Make sure you get in this chat. Make sure you get in this room next week, okay? If you need the link, DM me, send me a message. I'll get you the link so you can register and get in this and be on a Zoom call. We answer everybody on a Zoom call. Make sure you get in this room now if you can. And again, tomorrow at noon, we'll have our Inner Circle call. If you guys aren't part of that, DM me again. We can get you registered for the Inner Circle call. Those are amazing calls. Amazing. And there's a lot of money made in those. Yep. It's a lot of money made in those. Luke, big thank you again, Luke. We appreciate you coming on, joining us.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you again. We'll see you on another channel, or we'll see you some other way. Seth, the quote of the week.
Yeah, Zig Ziglar. You know, he's a sales guru, to say the least. But stop selling and start helping. I've integrated into my business about 18 months ago or so. My purpose for my business is to solve the solutions for the clients that we serve. And everybody in my company knows that. Everybody in my company spits that out almost once a week for sure, but sometimes daily, depending on where you are in my company. So every one of the clients that they talk to, every person that we deal with, knows that we're here to solve solutions.
Yeah.
Or solve problems, give solutions.
I love that. Solve problems, guys. Your bank account is indicative to how many people's lives you affect and how many problems you solve. Remember that. Remember that. That is powerful.
100%. Also, guys, if you guys are in Morgantown or local, or you can make the trip to Morgantown, it's actually the
25th, Seth.
25th here. On Thursday, 6:30 p.m., Mountaineer Tap House. Come out, have a drink, meet the folks here locally. I will be there. And then next week, we'll be talking about creative financing. We've got Tim Yu coming on. He has been doing a lot of crazy stuff with creative finance and structuring some deals. On the Wednesday call last week, he was asking about creative finance, and then I hadn't even thought. So he's an awesome mind, and he's awesome at structuring these things. He's going to drop some knowledge for everybody.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
Tim's awesome. If you guys are looking to get in creative finance, Triple H, I know you're doing creative finance deal. I know this will bring you some high value. So if you guys haven't done any creative finances, this is zero down money. You know, this is those deals you hear of, those fantasy deals. They are real. You can do them. So to everybody, thank you again. We will see you all. I'll see most of you tomorrow. If you haven't registered, get on a Wednesday call. Send a DM if you need the link. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Luke, thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
all.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Luke.